Hello, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 9 of the Midwest Gaming Classic Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Garris, panel director of the Midwest Gaming Classic. This week's podcast episode is all about Resident Evil actors. Join Charlie Kraslavsky, who played Chris Redfield, and Greg Smith, who played Barry Burton from the original Resident Evil, also known as Biohazard in Japan. This panel will discuss how they got involved, when they learned of its success, and how things played out since then. And you know what? Enough of me talking. Why don't we get to the panel?
Charlie and Greg are here to answer all of your questions, and it sounds like a very lively bunch and sounds like you guys are big fans of the franchise, so I'm going to make sure we get to as many of your questions as possible. I did not play the original Resident Evil. I have heard your story, though, and we're going to share it here. It's fascinating how it has all unfolded and how we've gotten to this point where you two are on this stage talking to fans of the game, the franchise, and of both of you, and all the time in between. So let's go back to day one. Okay. When you first heard of this game even happening and what you were doing at the time.
You want to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. At the time, I was a school teacher, assistant principal, and my government sent me to Japan. They used to have this exchange with the Japanese teacher would come to Australia. I'd go to Japan, and I spent a year there teaching English. Needs it closer. Teaching English at a school, and I had no intention of being an actor. Or you can tell by how badly I act, I suppose. Yes, definitely. I don't take credit for good acting. And I was just in the street in Tokyo visiting a friend, and a guy came up and grabbed me and said that I matched the character that he'd made for a video game, and would I be interested? And I went, oh yeah, no problems, mate. And he took me in. I signed a bit of paper, and it just went from there. But it was a true story. It's a real story of like one little insignificant thing in your life you do, like just a fluke of nature. I was on the street at the right time when the guy poked his head out and saw me. And to be honest, there probably weren't too many people in Japan that looked like me at that stage. I was pretty lucky. And that's how it started. Did I know about Resident Evil? No, I didn't even know what we were making. Because my Japanese was okay, but I couldn't really understand the director too well at times. And I knew we were making something, or filming, I had no idea what it was. And I just did as I was told. Stand there, look sad, look happy, shoot your gun. That was the best bit. And the other good bit was hanging around with guys like this guy, because he's a real professional actor at the time, I thought. So that's the story of how it started. And then I'll let Charlie tell you the rest, then we might go back to what happened next.
Yeah, okay.
So that was around, summer of '95. And at the time, I worked for a talent agency. I'm born and raised in Tokyo, and I speak Japanese. So I had a skill set that the talent agency, found valuable. So I was both managing talent and also doing acting and modeling. And when the job came in from Capcom, basically it was kind of up to the agency. The manager of the agency kind of did the photo selection. So I'm not sure. So who found you? Was it someone from our agency?
Yes, someone from your
was
agency.
Was it you?
Our agency. Your agency. What is it?
It's IMO.
Oh, IMO.
Yeah,
they found
Motoko office.
Yeah, and it's a little office in Roppongi.
And so at the time, I was working pretty much every day. I loved it. I was young, and I was on set or at auditions or in some capacity working like every day in film and TV. And when that job came in, our office manager just kind of went through the books, our talent books, and you know, we had the sketches from Capcom, and he was kind of matching up. And honestly, they had to choose me. You know, the agency had to choose me because I was like one of their main guys. So, and I did, I think, maybe look a little bit like Chris. So, and then what happened, as I remember, next was...
Can I just ask, like, when that project came in, like at the time in your career, the on-camera part, like the actor part, were you actively seeking a certain type of role? Were you just taking any commercial auditions? Like, what were you doing?
Yeah, I would... a lot of what I did was extra work, because that was, you know, the bulk of the work. So there were speaking roles that would come in, and I did act in, you know, other film and television productions. But you know, a lot of it was you know, just being extra in a scene. But I did, you know, get to do other fun things. Like I was almost in a Godzilla movie. Like they cut my scene, you know.
Oh, so you filmed something for it? You just didn't make it.
I was in Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, and so was my now ex-wife. Back then we were engaged, and her scene made it into the film, and so we went to the movie theater together to watch it. And I didn't know that my
they didn't tell you.
Yeah, no, they didn't tell me that my scene. Yeah, I was like waiting for my scene, and I was like, oh, I guess they cut it.
Did you make the DVD release at least, like the director's cut, the deleted scenes? Well, we got to go get that now to see if you made it.
Go look for that. Yeah. But and you know, another film that I did was Maria 2, where I was like a kind of a psychotic killer, and but I had diplomatic immunity, so I was like killing people, and the Secret Service sent in Maria, the assassin, to kill me. And she was kind of in trouble with them, so it was like if she would kill me, then you know, they'd give her kid back and she could go back to her life, kind of a story. So that was a fun one.
Were you a gamer at all?
I was up until like around 96. So
okay.
I had like the Nintendo 64. My favorite game was Star Fox. I would like play Star Fox until like 4 in the morning.
Excellent choice.
You know? And but around 96, like shortly after we filmed Resident Evil, I got married. I moved to London, and I gave my Nintendo 64 to my roommate, and I was like, never again. You know, it was like, I was getting older. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't stay up all night. And so I didn't even know, you know, so this kind of gets to the heart of the matter. I didn't even know I was in the Resident Evil game, because when we filmed it, they called it Biohazard.
Okay, right. So let's get to that part now. Yeah. So you get discovered on the street by one of his colleagues.
One of his colleagues.
You get chosen because you work for the agency. Okay, so now, day one, we're starting to film what you knew was Biohazard in Japan. Yeah. So what was the filming process like?
So the first thing was we went to a fitting, and that was the first time we all sat down at these little, you know, like the kind of desks that you have in school with just the little desk thing on the plastic seat. We all sat down in those, and they had our sketches in front of us of our characters, and I just remember looking at the sketch and just being like, wow, so effing cool. And then they put the costume on me, and I vividly remember when they were like strapping the knife on my chest, and I was like, God, man, that's so cool. And then probably a similar experience for you. And then the next thing was they had to dye my hair, and they wanted me to be blonde, but because my hair was so dark, and they wanted to shoot, you know, quickly, like within a few days, and it would have taken too many sessions to get my hair blonde, so they decided, okay, we'll just use peroxide, and so that's why my hair looks kind of like orange, like an orangey color. And then from there, I think the next thing we did was the filming. Was it the same process for you? Like, this was the first on-camera thing, period,
that you were a teacher. This was the first thing you did.
I was a teacher.
So what was that like, walking into this room?
Is anyone out there can get a bottle of water? I've got a really dry throat. Is anyone out there with a bottle of water? I need a bottle of water.
We'll get a fresh one. Let's get him a bottle of water.
911. I need. Anyone got a fresh bottle of water? I'm struggling.
Get him some first aid spray.
Is there any in the?
No, someone's going to get one. My recollection was, I remember the rehearsal. I was actually staying at the foot of Mount Fuji at a friend's house. It was during the school holidays. My wife, my 3 daughters were in Japan with me. We went to live for a month or 2 at the bottom of Mount Fuji, which was great fun. Lake Yamanoko? Yeah. And we went there, and I had to jump on a bus because I didn't have a car and go all the way back into Tokyo for the fitting and all that. My wife's going, I hope this is worth it. This is a real pain in the neck. That'll be cool. It'll be cool. I'll do it. And we went in, and it was really interesting being fitted out with all the gear and all the bits and pieces they gave us. I remember if you ever see the outtakes, there's some on the internet. Oh, thank you. Some outtakes on the internet. You'll see me doing a karate kick and all those kind of things and buggerising around. That was when that all took place. So I'm filming during that because it all came back when I saw it. I was just that was what I remember, that side of it, the fitting. And I did ask them, look, you were there as well, I think, and you're going, Omiyagi, can we get some...
I remember you asked, and I was like horrified because I'm born, raised in Japan. I know their culture very well. It was like really improper for him to ask, like, to keep something, from the costume. I'm like cringing, and of course they said no.
All I wanted was a dog tag, so I went and made my own. I made my own Barry dog tag. They wouldn't even let me keep the dog tag.
No, they're not like that.
No, they weren't at all. And I don't know what they do. They probably
very
threw it away.
Proper people.
Yeah, they probably put
everything by the book.
They probably put it in the garbage. End up as rubbish the next day or something.
No,
I don't know.
They loved you.
They didn't. Anyway, and then the filming after that. That was about all the rehearsal, wasn't it? There wasn't a lot of rehearsal.
I don't think there was any rehearsal. I think what you're remembering is they were doing like behind the scenes video, like on the day we were shooting.
Yeah, you were kicking and things like that. I did a karate kick. Yeah,
you were like, kicking and messing around. Yeah. I was sitting there brooding, trying to look cool, I remember.
He looked really cool. He looked so handsome. I thought he was Charlie Sheen.
I felt the camera on me. I was just like sitting there like, but... and then the other thing I remember, like, because there's this big sort of debate, I think, from Resident Evil fans is like, are Chris and Jill, are they romantically involved? Like, this is a question that comes up. And that is something they told me about in the backstory. My character was like, she is a romantic interest. So you heard it from me. There is a romantic, that's all they said, there was like a romantic interest.
I didn't know that. I thought he liked Jennifer Aniston because he's got Jennifer Aniston's picture in the background.
Oh, that's in our fan film.
Yeah.
And so Inez, who played Jill, I think at the time was maybe 16 years old, very pretty girl. Her parents were there when we were filming. And so I felt really uncomfortable. I was like 25, 26 years old, and I'm like, I don't want her parents to think there's anything like weird going on, So I kind of kept my distance from her.
Her mother did guard her like a junkyard dog too. She was very protective of Jill.
And the other thing I remember about that, so the first night of filming was when we did the scenes there's the scene where I'm running away in the hallway and yelling, and then camera comes up all the way up to my eye. That was the first thing we filmed. It was in an abandoned warehouse near the Tama River, kind of a little bit, I think that'd be like kind of northwest Tokyo. It was right in the middle of summer, really hot and humid, mosquitoes biting us like crazy. And I remember Inez was like really complaining about that. Like she was, I think, almost in tears about that. And so they were very secretive, Capcom. They told us very little about the game. And I later have read about it, and so I understand. But they were very competitive with all the other game companies. They didn't want anything to leak out. So they didn't even tell us, kind of the plot of the game. They just kind of gave us direction. It was like run through the field, look like you're scared, shoot your gun, that sort of thing.
Did that feel weird?
Did it feel weird? Yeah, a little bit.
I can't imagine, like, not knowing any context. You're just like, all right, I'm just going to run.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a married man. I'm used to it as I'm told. I just did as I was told.
Yeah.
I just did.
But and like that scene where I'm in the hallway, he said, "Just pretend there's a big werewolf chasing you," because I think it's supposed to be the Cerberus. So it's kind of close, wolf, dog, but he didn't want to give anything away. And then after that, kind of when it started to get dark, is when we did in the same location. They had like this field that was all overgrown with like crabgrass, and so that's where we did the scenes that you see in the beginning, where it's going through the grass.
The smoke, where they had the smoke machine and all that. And
grass.
Yeah.
And so that was the most fun day, I think. We had 3 days of shooting.
I did. Because there was a day in that warehouse, because they had like a helicopter.
That was the last thing. That was in another location.
Yeah, it was another location. I thought that went first anyway.
No, that was the last thing.
Oh, okay. Old age, you get around the wrong way.
As I remember it anyway.
Okay, so he remembers it. But yeah, I remember it was great fun. They had these good vans. We were in the van half the night, going in and out. And we filmed all night, because I didn't get home till about 7 in the morning, I don't think, by the time I got back to my house, which wasn't that far away from it. But it was a lot of fun. And they had dogs. They had real dogs there. Remember the dogs?
Well, that's the thing. I don't remember that part too well, but yeah, I remember when we've talked about it before, that you said there were dogs and they were just too friendly.
They had these Dobermans, and they were really big Dobermans, and they put these things in their mouth which made their teeth stick out and look really vicious. And I was running, and the dog's catching me, and when it got me, it licked me to death. I'm on the ground. And I think they cut the dogs because they were just too friendly.
But they had an animatronic one.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, because when I actually looked at the game years later and finally got to see it, I thought, where are the real dogs? They had the animated dog, and I remember I was really annoyed because he got the machine gun and I just got a pistol, and my pistol only did 3 shots. And that was it for the night. Bang bang, and my night's over. No more shooting, and his machine gun's going off like.
I didn't have a machine gun.
Someone had a machine gun. It might have been someone had a gun that shot more bullets than mine, and I was upset.
No, I had, I think, like a Beretta.
It's better than a pistol.
And I think Joseph has like a shotgun.
Still a bit of rivalry, a little bit.
And that was definitely the coolest part. Was like running through the grass with the smoke and firing off the guns.
I remember we all had to look up in the air looking for the helicopter.
Right. Like the no, don't go. Yeah. And I thought about that for a long, the no, don't. I was like, how should I do that? And
you didn't get much inspiration. They just said look up and
but I thought he puts his hand up, that was all I could come up with.
How long did it take to film start to finish?
Start to finish, that first day, I think we got there just before dark, around 5 o'clock.
So long days.
Yeah, and then just that first one. And,
okay.
Yeah.
But the whole process, the entire, was it a month of filming? Or was
2 weeks, I think. Maybe.
Oh, just 2 weeks.
Yeah, from beginning to end.
Okay.
So that first day was the long day, and then we had 2 other days, as I remember. One was in the studio shooting the credits, and then the third filming was, at the end of the game, the helicopter. So we drove way out into the outskirts of Tokyo, and the helicopter was a temporary structure, like a temporary building at a construction site. And so the inside of that temporary building served as the inside of the helicopter.
See, I didn't do that bit.
You didn't?
No, they didn't take me there. My helicopter bit was inside a building.
Oh, okay.
And I was with the one who played the nurse,
Linda.
Linda. Uh-huh. And I was with her a lot, and we were talking. And my favourite bit of the whole lot, I don't know if it ever made, where I'm there and at the very beginning, I've got the gun. That was my favourite bit. I felt like I was an actor. But you told me afterwards that the director said he was disappointed because he should have hired real actors. Did you?
Well, that's something that there's an interview with Shinji Mikami, which I saw, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. And there's a part where he's like, yeah, we didn't have much of a budget. I wish we could have hired real actors. That just really pierced my heart when I heard.
Told me, because after he told me that, I really cried. I sat there, and it's sad to see a 60-year-old man crying, but I was devastated.
So you shoot for 2 weeks. It wraps.
Yeah.
You go on your merry. What were you told, if anything, before you left? Like that last day, did you get any information on release dates, what the game is, anything like that?
I think they just vaguely said it's coming out in a couple of months. I think they said like they have to do all the programming or all the other computer stuff.
Okay.
And I think I asked the agency like if we could get a copy of the footage, and they refused, because I think they just they didn't want anything like outside of Capcom. They just wanted to keep it all contained.
Okay. Okay.
But that was kind of not that unusual back then. Like we would try and, as actors, we would try and get the footage for the jobs we did, and most of the time, production companies were just busy or whatever. They just wouldn't send it to us, and the only way we could get like copies of our work was to just record it, on the DVR when it was on TV.
Because we didn't have telephones.
No, we don't have. We didn't have YouTube or
anything like that. You little people out there going, how they live without YouTube? How they live without a telephone on them? I was just trying to think. I just lost my track of thought there. But
what I want to know is, after you did this, did you continue to pursue anything acting, or did you just go back to teaching? Like, what'd you do?
Whilst I was in Japan, a few things popped up. In Japan, they used to like to have when they had I was in a couple of soapies, and they seemed to like to have a foreigner in the soapies, especially if it was a party scene. It showed it was a really happening party if a foreigner was in it. So I got the token foreigner job, where I'd kind of walk through the door at this wedding, and all the food was in. You're not allowed to touch the food, and the alcohol was pretend, and you couldn't drink it anyway, and you're kind of there, and I got to do that. But you were talking about your wife. My wife got the gig as well with me, so we're there, we're doing this, and I'm in a suit because we're at a party. I walk through, and they've done the scene about 4 or 5 times, and they turned around and said, no, she doesn't look enough like your wife, and gave me another woman. And I was really, and I tell you what, my wife was so angry. And I'm going, hey, she was younger than you, she was taller, I can understand it. And she never really forgave me for that at all.
She doesn't look enough like your wife to your actual wife. Oh my.
And it was a really sore point for a while. And I also...
And the woman was younger, right?
Younger, she was younger.
Oh no.
And I didn't, she was younger, taller.
Yeah.
I didn't say to my wife she was more attractive, because I did want to eat that week. Anyway, no, I'm only joking. A lovely wife. Been married 47 years this year, so we're still...
Oh, nice. I mean, if you can survive a producer replacing you on set, you can survive anything, really.
And then there used to be a show called Vocabulary Tango.
Yeah, Vocabulary Tango.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was like comedy skits, and I was a pro wrestler. I remember they put me in these skimpy pair of swimmer things, and it was a cowboy pro wrestler, and they had these really great cowboy boots. I would have loved those, but they wouldn't let me. And I had these really good cowboy boots. They must have borrowed them, because they put all this tape on the bottom so I didn't scruff them, so they could take them back. And I had the cowboy boots, a little tiny pair of swimmers, and that was it. And I had to do a sign like that in the air, and they did a picture from the back. I don't know what it was about, but I was in Vocabulary Tango. A couple of little things like that. And I think I was Santa Claus in an ad for Disneyland, but you couldn't tell who I was because I had a big white beard and hair, and all you could pick was my eyes. And that was about it. And I just went back to Australia and just focused on my career, because I was pretty career focused, and I just wanted to be a principal and director of education and all those things. So I just went back and worked my backside off doing stuff like that.
So then take us to the moment then when the game released in Japan.
think the game released in '96. I think it was in March, maybe.
Okay.
I had left in April, and I think I didn't even, hadn't really thought about it. I didn't even know the game had been released.
So did either of you seek it out? Like,
No, well, I did go to IMO. It's IMO, wasn't it? Yeah, and I did say to the lady in charge who was behind the counter all the time. She seemed to call the shots.
Yeah.
I did ask her about it, and she said, I'll get you a copy. Come back in 2 weeks' time. They came back, and she'd forgotten about it, so obviously it was never going to happen. I should have realised that. And I never thought much about it.
Yeah.
And when I was teaching, I was in the street one day, and these two kids ran up to me and said, "Are you in a video game?" And I went, "Yeah." But I told you he was, and they walked away. And that was what game?
a video game.
A video game. And they walked away. This would have been in about 91, 92.
Okay.
And then, 99, sorry, 99. And kind of didn't know much more about it. And if you want to jump really way ahead, when I found out about it, you got other questions you want to ask? What are you?
I'm just thinking about it in my head. So you finish, you go about your lives.
Yeah.
You stop thinking about it.
I go back to Australia.
You got back to Australia. You moved to London.
I went to London. I was actually going to pursue a career in production.
Okay.
On the production side, through someone I knew. That didn't work out, and ended up working for actually a very large wholesale tour operator instead, because I could utilize my Japanese for that job. And life just kind of keeps going on, and I had always, wanted to be an actor, and pursued it hard, for a few years. Had I stayed in Japan, I think I probably, would have probably reached some sort of celebrity status there, because a lot of the people that were my contemporaries did.
Okay.
And I had the same skill set they did.
Yeah.
I think I had the same kind of charisma. So I think if I had just stayed there, I probably would have been a famous personality in Japan.
Yeah.
I left because I fell in love, and she was from London, so that's. Thank you. And I don't. Yeah,
a round of applause for love, everybody. All right.
It didn't work out, unfortunately. But yeah, okay. I don't regret those choices, and I'm kind of the sort of person who just always just trusts the universe, and I just keep going and just keep things.
Boy, did you trust the universe, because then we get to the point where now you realize that this actually became a thing. So, okay, let's jump to that now. So you guys are living your lives. You're Australia, London. At what point does this pivotal moment of, oh my God, I'm in this game and it's a massive deal? Like, when did this hit you?
Okay, I can tell you pretty well exactly about 2017.
I think, yeah. It was
2017. Yeah. I'd retired in 2016, because at 60 they kick you out of teaching. I'll tell you why I went back to teaching and didn't stay in Japan, because my contract said if I stayed in Japan I had to pay them back a year's wages, and I was never going, plus another $25,000 they'd given me, so I had to give them back too much money. So I did go home, and my wife and children wanted to go home anyway, and our dog was missing us. He kind of got sick of living in the house by himself with a can of dog food, and he learned how to undo the can. Anyway. I was there and I'd retired, and walking down, I actually went back to my old school to pick up my granddaughter who'd started at the school, because I stayed at my school long enough to make sure I could see my granddaughter start kindergarten and be with her, and then I left, and I'm back there picking her up, and this office lady runs out with an email and says, some guy, Frederick, has sent an email to the school. He's after you. It's to do with a video game Resident Evil. I thought, oh, God, royalties, you beauty. And I'm going, ching, 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 ching. And it wasn't. And that's when I first realised. And you'd already been in contact, hadn't you?
Yeah, so just to kind of give you an idea. So this all came about because Capcom decided to only credit us with our first names. And so nobody knew who we were. And there were fans that were looking for us, I think, for like decades, basically. And then there's this guy, Fred Fouché. I think he's a French guy.
Up until this point, you had never been found? Like, not even contacted once about the game, like for 20 years or however long that's,
Yeah.
is that 20 years? Like, that stretch, zero connection, like no one
Had no idea. Well, let's go back to, I think, when did the first film come out? Was it like 2001, the Resident Evil film? So I saw that film, and it felt familiar to me, you know? And
You don't say.
but what threw me off was Alice, right? There's no character called Alice in Resident Evil in the game. And so I was like, oh, okay, so maybe they just kind of, took the same idea and just, made a new thing out of it. So I was like, yeah. And then again, didn't think about it. Years go by. So I was only in London for 4 years. Then I moved to New York and then back to California. And I'm in California now, but so I'm in California working, and it was around 2016, 2017, and I get this email from Fred Fouché. Are you the actor who portrayed Chris Redfield? Yeah. What's the big deal? And
What's the big deal?
And so how he had found me was he had just kind of probably figured that maybe I had some kind of background, grew up in Japan, and he was like, searching all kinds of places, and he found my yearbook photo on classmates.com because I'd posted it there.
Oh, man.
Figured out what my name was, and since I was on Facebook, he found me on Facebook, contacted me, and I didn't realize that he had contacted you through the school because I remember I was already friends with you, I was friends with Eric Pirius, and I thought that I had given Fred your Facebook profile, maybe. But so that's kind of the first time that I realized that I was part of the franchise.
Let me just jump in. Were you guys friends, like the people that you filmed with? Did you keep in contact over the years?
No, I think we just kind of got back in contact on Facebook, just casually, it wasn't
Before you were discovered, like, and probably just like close, like, hey, remember this fun thing we did?
How you just get friend suggestions and things like that. I think probably that's how I ended up, like, seeing...
Yeah, this Charlie guy popped up. I know him, so I said to him,
I can't say for sure,
There you go, mate, what's happening? You still acting? And he's, I did a bit. I thought he'd be a big-time actor in Hollywood. He was that good. He was really good.
Nice.
I knew I was
saying that. Okay.
Okay, so you get connected, Fred reaches out.
And then I still didn't, I guess I didn't really, like, fully ruminate. I didn't think it was like such a big deal. Then I think, as time went on and, people were contacting me about, being on their podcast or interviews, and I just kind of wasn't really into it, and I was just like, just leave me alone. But then in, I think it was like 2021 or 2022, I was contacted by a filmmaker, and he wanted to do a film, just a short film that was faithful to the source material, because he felt like Hollywood had really let all the fans of the game had let them down, with these films that were just basically action films that, didn't really resemble the games very much. And, I would think a lot of you in this room probably feel that way too. I don't know. Maybe some of you like the films. If you do, hey, no big deal, it's a film, enjoy it. But his vision was to be like as faithful to the game as possible. So he sent me the storyboard, and I was just like so impressed by it. And it turned out, I think I also gave him Greg's details and Eric's details, and he offered the part to me and to Eric. Did he offer it to you?
No.
I think he just offered it to me and Eric.
Yeah.
And the part was for the keeper, who's a umbrella laboratory researcher who you learn about from a document in the game. And so he came up with a script to make that into a film, and it's brilliant. It's coming out maybe in a month or two, and then he flew all three of us out to Utah, where he lives, and that's when we did our reunion interview. So that was like in 2022, and and he's just like a working guy. It's not like he has money or anything, but he flew Greg all the way from Australia on his own dime, Eric and me, and he paid for our hotels, and then we.
I did move because I couldn't handle the Formula 6.
The Motel 6, I think it was.
Motel 6.
Yeah. It was a little bit dingy.
Yeah.
And that's when we did our reunion interview, and we also shot some teaser videos, and that's kind of when I really started to kind of get excited about kind of coming back into the Resident Evil community, and I started getting contacted by fans, and started kind of making an effort to kind of be an ambassador of the franchise in a way, and I'm really enjoying that. And this is both of our first convention.
First one. Wow. Hey, you're all part of history. This is incredible.
We loved it. We loved meeting all of you.
How have you enjoyed it?
I'm sorry?
How have you enjoyed it?
I love it so far, yes. We have one more day, and, I'm thinking, I could just, I could do this several times a year. I'd be really happy to do it, It's just so fun. And it's like meeting all of you is really amazing for me. And, I hear so many stories from people like you about how, we encompassed your whole childhood, and that's just it just gets you. It's like, wow, something I did, that to me was just a couple of days work, and I did put everything into it, but then it just had this butterfly effect, and just kind of just spread out and kept spreading and spreading and spreading, and then it found its way back to me, almost 30 years later.
That's incredible.
I'm kind of one of those guys that really weird things happen to. I walk down the street and some guy taps you on the shoulder. Weird things. I get sent to Japan. It should never happen. They send me to India. I get all these weird things happening in my life. Maybe because I put myself out there a little bit. But they found me. Also, Eric, he kind of found me because I was in the paper, and that cemented where I was.
Uh-huh.
He had my name, and I was in the paper because one of my children at school had leukemia, and she'd got better, and they were doing a big telethon for one of the hospitals, and I was in the paper with her going, get on your phones and send some money in, all that kind of stuff. And he kind of mirrored my face and goes, it has to be me. And it went from there. But because Andrew then rang up, and I jokingly said, mate, he said, can you be in, he rang up and he said, can you be in Utah on the 6th of June? I said, mate, you get me there, you give me an air ticket and I'll be there. And he went, well, and he said, rang back, and my wife nearly got, I've been married 47 years, it was nearly 46, because we were buying a house and selling a house.
So just to be clear, it wasn't the producer replacing her
No.
In that scene. It was this. Just wanted to be clear.
This is a big one. We're buying a house. We're selling a house. We'd already booked a holiday to go overseas while we're selling our house. In between selling our house and buying the house, I slip over to Utah, do a week's worth of filming, come back. Then we fly off to Fiji because we'd already booked a holiday in between selling our house. And then I come back and say, oh, darling, I've just booked a motorbike tour of Florida. I'm taking 14 blokes on Harleys for a ride through Florida. That was a really good year for me. I nearly got killed. But I kind of do really weird things. But it was amazing how it just snowballed. I was there one day, and the next thing, this guy's made a video of finding me, like Finding Nemo, but Finding Greg. And he made a really good video, it was a really good one, and he did with the Aussie accent and all that, you imagine Barry, g'day mate, what's happening? God, that was nearly, I hope that's not Chris's blood, or Jesus, that was nearly a Jill sandwich. He kind of... So, all those things. But I've met some of the best people and really lovely people. And you think, oh, yeah, it's just a video game and you're part of it. I really talked to there was one kid and he got me through Cameo. And I got on and I made him, and I really wrecked up the cameo. So I said, and he wrote back and said, that wasn't much for my money. I said, I'm really sorry about that, buddy. It's my fault. And I said, here's my mobile. Give me a call. He lived in Australia. And his dad had just died of cancer, and he was really struggling. And he just wanted to talk to someone. And he liked talking to Barry, and it made me feel good. I got a lot out of it. I got so much out of it.
That's awesome. And you can see it, you can see it.
They give me the wind up. I kept in contact with him. He's got back into life.
Amazing.
He's working, and he's gone back to school. And I was really happy with that.
I want to get as many questions from the audience as possible. Since this is the first panel too, this is pretty monumental. So who's got a question? Raise your hand.
Just kept talking. Sorry.
Let's go to her right there. First question, please.
Okay.
How do you feel now that this franchise turned from just this one game to a big phenomenon against many people?
I just feel honored to be part of it. And I kind of feel like I have some bragging rights because we were there at the beginning, and we're the only ones that were actors. Everything else is a face model, or just like motion capture, but we were actors and we were in it. So I'm proud of that, and I'm very happy for Capcom for all the success they've had with it. And
I just want a percentage. I want to go back and change the contract.
If they want to give us a call and have us, come back and do a RE1 remake with us, I wouldn't say no.
I don't know, a geriatric Barry. I don't know how they'll handle a geriatric Barry.
I have a question, and it's a little personal. You don't have to answer it. But what does a gig like that pay, or what residuals, anything like that? What did that look like? If you don't have to answer, if you don't want to. I'm just curious.
I think you seem to remember it was about $1,500 that they paid us.
Yeah.
And I don't quite remember. I thought it was less. And
then he took out tax.
Yeah, and the thing was, they might have paid our agent more than that, but our agent was the most unscrupulous.
I can guarantee you they paid your agent more than that.
Because when we first did it, they said 2.5, and then it got down. And I said, and he goes, but Charlie's really known. He's a really good actor, and he took that money. You have to take it.
That's just kind of what happens to actors. You just get taken advantage of unless you are a big name already. And when you're kind of there and you're trying to hustle and trying to get parts, you don't ask a lot of questions, and you don't rock the boat. You just you want the work, you want to make it real. And so for me, I just it wasn't so much about money. I just wanted to have some cool images to put on my reel.
To me, it helped me buy my first Harley Davidson. It went towards my first Harley. Yes. Having said that, taking advantage of the guys at this have been fantastic. Got to give them a clap. The guys at Western Gaming have been absolutely brilliant. They have made us feel welcome. They have supported us and looked after us. I got to love them. They're all fantastic. They are.
Hi. First, congratulations. I know I'm late, but congratulations on your daughter's recovery, by the way. Also, are you, besides cons, are you guys doing any other projects? Are you getting featured in any games or anything like that, or live action?
Well, I have been doing a lot of fan-made content, including The Keeper's Diary, which is coming out next month. And I also have been doing some voice acting for little projects like Carrier Raccoon City, which is a fan-made, comic bookish mashup of Max Payne and Resident Evil. And I play Mayor Warren in that one. And so I've been Chris, I've been Mayor Warren, and now I'm going to be the Keeper in our fan-made film, and I'm really having fun with that. And then also I happened to kind of reach out to Invader Studios, which is an Italian game studio that they were very friendly with Capcom. I think, I might be getting this wrong, but I think what they did was they did a fan-made Resident Evil game that was so good that Capcom let them actually work together on the real game. Yeah. And so they have their own game called Daymare. And the sequel, Daymare 94, came out like a year and a half ago, I think, and I got just a little cameo in that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess you do. And then, sorry, one last thing. I'm also working just on a fan-made game, but it's an original game with this really talented creator in Brazil, and he's Emmanuel Roca, and he goes by Innovator Games, VR, and we're doing a game together, and it's called The Nightmare Begins. It's an original game with a time traveler who goes back to Victorian London and fights monsters there. So there's probably gonna be a demo on Steam, like maybe later this year or next year.
I will be there.
Cool. Awesome.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Just want to say thank you, guys, for your work and for awesome memories that I'm going to have for the rest of my life from those awesome FMVs. My question is for Charlie. Are you familiar with the boulder punching at all for Chris?
Yeah, I am.
And what are your thoughts on it?
I think a lot of people criticize that game, that they just kind of took things too far with making them all steroidy, and then the whole punching a boulder. I think it's fun, and I think you have to be able to laugh at yourself, in this life. And, maybe it wasn't the right direction to go with the game, but it's still art. They created it. And it's also something that's fun, that you can make jokes about. And we actually did kind of a funny little parody of it when I was in. So that's another cool thing I did. I went to Germany and we recreated the intro scene, like on a red camera, like cinematic anamorphic lens camera. It's beautiful. And it was raining so hard that I was just sitting in the car with Vincent Mokhtar, who played Carlos Oliveira, and we did a little skit, and at the end, like, we're talking about the boulder punching, and at the end, like, we punch hands, and then there's a little graphic of like Raccoon City, vaporizing, so that was a fun. I think it's good. It's good to have things that you can laugh about. I haven't played the game, so I probably shouldn't criticize it, but I've heard a lot of other people criticize it, and they're probably right. I don't know.
Wait, you haven't played the game?
I've only played a little bit of the first game.
Okay.
It was only when we were doing our reunion together.
Got it, okay.
And it was so friggin' hard.
Yeah,
it's so hard to play.
I thought we were doing
controls. It's like,
I thought we were doing really well, but they'd kind of jimmied it so we couldn't get killed, and we just kept getting lives the whole way through. They'd played with it. I thought I was doing really well, but I got told I got killed in the first 3 seconds.
Let's watch a walkthrough on YouTube.
Yeah.
What are questions?
Yeah, so I follow the Keeper's Diary on TikTok and Facebook, and I know Charlie's doing most of that. Have you met up with anyone else besides Wesker and followed through, or met up, or have them come to cons eventually, or anything like that in the future?
Well, I reached out to Eric to see if he could come to this, but he couldn't make it. I think he wanted to, and I think he's open to coming to a con in the future, and maybe all three of us could be at one together. That would be pretty fun.
I reckon the 30th anniversary would be a good one to get us all together.
And then the Keeper's Diary is coming out in about a month or so, and we're hoping that that's going to get so many eyeballs on it that we'll be able to do another film, with an even bigger budget.
With Barry in it. Yes. Barry's in the next one.
Yeah. So if that,
sorry, mate.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I love Barry too. If that happens, it'll be, Greg, Eric, and I, and the working title is Resurrections, with a capital R, capital E, and Resurrection.
Nice.
And it would be a story that takes place it's either the present day or maybe the near future.
Awesome.
And somehow Wesker's still alive. and
We're going to kill him one day. Gotta get rid of it.
You know, we would all be like reprising our roles. So we're, you know, fingers crossed. We're hoping we can make that happen for you.
Okay, before everybody leaves, because this is this is the first panel you guys have done.
Yes.
Of this type. So
don't give us
just
a mark out of
don't
me.
leave. Don't leave just yet. But the first thing I want to do, let's give them a big round of applause. Because that's pretty awesome. Very, very cool. I hope you get many more of these moments to both of you, that you get to get this adulation that you deserved so many decades ago. That you're getting now.
You want to see an old guy cry? Keep it down.
To that point,
When you get old, you get emotional.
If it's okay with you guys, this is total impromptu. Can you guys stand there? And I would love to take a group picture of everyone, because it's kind of a big deal. So if you guys don't mind standing, if that's okay with you, if you're able, if you're willing, I'd love to take a picture of everyone, just like to document the moment, the very first panel that they have been able to do, which is kind of cool, right? So, you stand there. Take one with me and then one without me, please. Or actually, is there any other? Are there any photographers? If there are any photographers in here, so don't go and jump up on there.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. One more. 3, 2, 1. All right.
Excellent. Okay. All right, everybody, thanks for coming.
And there you go. That's the end of this week's podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, learning all about what both Charlie and Greg went through with filming the original Resident Evil video game and the things that either did or didn't happen afterwards. Now, I have to be truthful with you. I'm not that big into Resident Evil as a whole. I did play it a little bit, and it wasn't really my cup of tea. I'm more of an arcade shooter kind of guy, and I like platformers, those kind of things. The Resident Evil video games, though, did pave a new pathway of video game genre, and that would be the horror genre in video games. And it's done some good. I mean, you wouldn't have gotten Silent Hill if it wasn't for Resident Evil. So Resident Evil did pave the way for a new genre of horror titles on all platforms, and I greatly appreciate and respect that. And with that said, that's it. That's all I've got to say for this episode, and I'm very happy that you have decided to join me. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for joining me this week, again, either watching and or listening to this podcast episode. And until next time, take care, stay safe, and game on.